graphics in a second, but I wanted to show you how to move first in a more fundamental aspect so you understand the mechanics behind what I'm doing. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's actually make a proper ship. So let's make a proper player ship that has the proper graphics rather than what I've just done right here. So in draw, what I'm actually going to do here is go window.split, and I'm going to say ship. Or self.ship underscore image. This is just how I reference the attributes that are specific to this ship, so the one that's being drawn. And I'm going to draw this at self.x, self.y, like that. So draw, window.blit, self.ship, self.x, self.y. We'll get into the laser stuff later, but that's like further on once we have the graphics working. Okay, so we'll do that, and now what I'm going to do is define a new class. I'm going to call this player. Now the player is going to inherit from ship, which means that it's going to take this initialization and it's going to take this draw method and use it. We're going to add more stuff to the ship class later that will make this make more sense, this inheritance. But for now, just understand that any methods in here, because I've defined this inheritance, means I can now use them inside a player. So what I'm going to do is define a init inside a player. So define underscore init self x y health, like that. Health will be a default parameter of 100 once again. And what I'll just do immediately is call this initialization method from inside of here. So to do that, I'm going to say super dot underscore init self x y health, like that. I don't know if this takes self. I don't actually think it does. I think it's just x y health. What this says is super is this parent class ship. Let's use ship's initialization method on this. So we define our own initialization method because we're going to need to change a few things in here, which I'll show you in a second. But let's use the super method so it creates all of these different variables that we need and it initializes things, right? It just runs that code. And now let's add our extension. So we're going to say self.ship underscore image equals yellow ship, and self.laser underscore image equals yellow laser. So we've defined now these two none parameters. So now we have those, we're good to go. And what we need to do next is create what's called a mask. So what a mask is going to let us do is do pixel perfect collision. So you may notice in other games where there's like weird hitboxes, and if you hit like the edge of something but there's actually not a pixel there, it still counts because it just does a square hitbox. Well, Pygame has this thing called masks, which let us do pixel perfect collision, which we'll get into later. We need to define a mask. So we're going to say self.mask equals pygame.mask self.fromSurface, from surface self.shipImage. Now, what that means is, okay, take this surface, which is the ship image, and make a mask of it. This mask just tells us where pixels are and where they aren't in this image, so that when we do collision, we know if we actually hit a pixel or not. Then what we're going to do is say self dot max underscore health, because we're going to add a health bar later, is equal to 100. Or not 100, sorry, is equal to health. So whatever health we start with is the maximum health we can have as a player. Now, the reason we need that is because we're going to decrement the player's health, right? Because we define health up here, but we need to still store what it's started with, so that we can figure out what its maximum health was when we want to draw the health bar and figure out the percentage to decrement it by. So there we go, we have the player, and now I think that should actually be okay for drawing. So let's just change everything from ship now to player. Now, an easy way to do this in subline text is do Command H and find anywhere that says ship, make sure it's case sensitive, and replace that with player. Like that. So we're going to say ship, player, which means now all these things that are highlighted, right, and you can see them, it's not highlighting the capitals, will change to player. So player will be equal to, well, that'll have to change, but anyways, you get the idea. So let's hit replace all, and now all of those are changed to player. So player dot x, player dot y, all that, and let's now change, instead of ship, this is going to say player. So we're going to initialize a new 6, starting at 3. $300, $650, and then we've changed all that, so now we'll draw the player. So let's run this. And notice now I have the ship, and it's moving around. Now, no fancy animations here, but just add the width to that equation. So now notice I can't go any further. We're going to self.y like that. So draw, window.blit, self.ship, self.x, self.y. We'll get into the laser stuff later, but that's like further on once we have the graphics working. Okay, so we'll do that, and now what I'm going to do is define a new class. I'm going to call this player. Now I don't know if this takes self. I don't actually think ship, so we did that. So what I'm going to do there is switch it also. The reason we need that change is actually a direction so far. I hope that makes sense, that explanation. Okay, so now that we have that, the ship's moving around. We're making pretty good progress here. Let's do the enemy ship. So let's get that one running. So we have player, so let's define enemy. So class enemy ship, like that. It'll inherit from ship. And in fact, we don't really need to call it enemy ship. We can just call it enemy like that. And inside of here, we'll say define underscore underscore init underscore underscore self x y. We're actually going to put a color parameter here. Remember, I was talking about that before. And then health equals 100. So inside of here, we're going to do the same thing we've done before. I'll go through this slowly after, but I just like to type it so that you don't hear my keyboard the entire time that I'm talking. And then we'll pass x, y. Okay, so what I've done is I've defined a new initialization. I've said this time we need to pass a color because our enemy ship will be different colors, right? It'll be red, green, blue. It will not be yellow. And we'll pass the health as well. And we'll call these super constructor. So this one right here to set everything up. And then we will add our own images and stuff after. So what I'm actually going to do in here is make a class variable. And I'm going to call this ship. I'm actually going to call it color underscore. Now, the idea behind this is that what I want to do is make a dictionary where a specific string, because what I'm going to do is pass a color as a string. So we'll pass the string like red, green, or blue based on what color it is we want. So if they hit red, I need it so it gives me the red images. So this enemy will have the red images, right? If they give me green, I need them to have the green images. So I'm going to make a map, which is just a dictionary, that says, okay, if we type red, right? So if we do red, then what that maps is the red spaceship image and the red laser. So if we have the red ship, it's going to use the red spaceship image. If we have green, then what this is going to give us is the green spaceship and the green laser, right? And same thing for blue. So the blue, so the blue spaceship and the laser. Now, that's like pretty straightforward. I need to make sure I add commas here because it's a dictionary. Let's hit enter one more time so that's proper. And now what I can do is just use this map so I can say something like self self.ship underscore image self dot laser image is equal to self dot color map color. So all I need to do is just pass that color the parameter that we passed in to this map, and then that will return to me the images that we're going to use. So that's what we have. So we'll do self.shipImage, self.laserImage is equal to self.colorMap. There's not really much more I can do to explain that. That's the basic concept behind that. Okay, so once we have that, we need to make a mask. So to make the mask, we're going to say self.mask is equal to, in this case, pygame.mask.fromSurface, like we did before, except this time, well, actually, it doesn't mean the same thing. Self.shipImage like that. So we have the mask, we have the colors set up, we have the images, and all we need to do now, actually, I don't even think there's much we have to do here. We're going to implement a method that allows us to move the ship, but I think that's all we really need for the enemy. So let's have move, and let's have vel, and what this is going to do, because the enemy ship will only be moving downwards, right? It's going to start at the top of the screen and move down. This is just going to say, okay, self.y plus equals vel. So if we pass a velocity to this move method, we'll move the ship downwards. Okay, so looking at my other screen, I think that's all we need for the enemy ship. So let's now figure out how we can start spawning enemy ships and have them moving down the screen, and figure out how we... Okay, so looking at my other screen, I think that's all we need for the enemy ship. So let's now figure out... Okay, so... looking at my other screen, I think that's all we need for the enemy ship. So let's now figure out how we can start spawning enemy ships and have them moving down the screen. And then we'll do lasers, we'll do collision, a main menu, and I guess an end screen, like if you lose. And we'll pretty much be done with this application. Although that is in a little bit, because the lasers are the more